High school kids are easier to teach. Like, I get personally afraid of young kids. They freak the crap out of me. Like, yeah. And they're also, takes a lot of energy. I think a lot of the elementary school teachers have a certain personality that fits with a lot of those kids, and they enjoy those kids. And I actually subbed for a little bit, and I found that subbing those kinds of kids, too much, takes way too much energy from me. So, yeah, that's my reason.
Because little kids really do scare me. They know absolutely nothing. And when we were in university, we had to choose between, that's all there was. There was no junior high. I actually fell into junior high, my first teaching assignment, and I've loved it ever since. I've done some volunteer work at the elementary school, but they're really, really young. And I make them cry, so I thought I better just stick with what I know what to do.
Well, I really like things like being creative, and I think that in high school you can certainly be creative as well, and I think there's lots of room for that there. But in the elementary school, that's sort of something that we really do all the time. So we have to look at ways to teach the kids how to initially read and write, especially like in grade 1 and in grade 2. And so we look for really creative ways of doing that. So it's not just, we have to make sure that the whole classroom, when you walk into a classroom, that it looks like what you're teaching. So the walls, everything has to sort of reflect what we're doing in class. So I just chose the elementary school as opposed to the high school, because I thought that in elementary school there'd probably just be more room for that kind of thing.
Good question. I trained for high school, but my first teaching experience was in elementary school, and I loved it. I taught my first year of teaching, I taught grade 6 and a little bit of grade 7. So I changed streams.
I didn't actually. I was a high school teacher. So a job came up. I was commuting from Jasper to Hinton teaching high school, and a job came up in the elementary school French immersion, which is what I taught in Hinton. And I was asked if I wanted to teach. And I said, well, what is the position at? And they said, grade 4. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, well, can I think about it? And I thought about it for a week, and I said, yeah, I'll try grade 4. And I've been in grade 4 ever since, for the last 8 years or so.
My salary, to be honest, I think it's pretty good. I mean, we have the highest paid teachers in Canada, in Alberta, and people will complain about the salary sometimes and say, like, you're not making hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I don't know, I think it's pretty good for what I get to do.
It's good. I've done a lot of other jobs, so I appreciate the salary that teachers make.
My salary is fine. I have no complaints. I never thought I'd make this much money in a way. So if you're in it for the salary, though, you have to know that, we're always working. Like when I go home, I'm still working. I come back on weekends. So you really have to, you're not counting the hours that you're putting in. And if you're the type of person that wants to be paid by the hour, teaching isn't for you.
Well, my salary has improved dramatically from when I've started. And of course, after you reach 10 years experience, you max out on your salary, but it makes a good living for me.
Yeah, I think it's a good salary. It's a good compromise between the time you work. When you're working a lot, but there is good vacation time, so I think it evens out throughout the whole year. So when you're on vacation, you're still doing a little bit of work, but when you're working, you're doing a lot of work. So yes, I think it's a fair salary.
I usually look at the week that's coming up. I know some teachers that will plan like every single day for the entire semester. I'm not that kind of teacher at all. I'm much more of I need to see what's coming up in the week. But beyond the week, if I started planning, I would be let down because I know it would change. So I usually plan for the week, get a general idea. The night before is kind of important for me, where I sit down and go like, what things are, what do we cover already? What do we need to cover? That kind of thing. That's generally. And then sometimes, like with the project you guys are doing right now, for example, it's like pretty open, so I don't have to plan hardly anything. But then I catch up on marking during those times. So I just balance both of those sides out.
You have to be really, really organized. So on the weekend is when I plan for what's going to happen during the week. And then at the end of each day, I figure out what we've actually done, and then go on to the next day and make sure that at least by the end of the week that I've achieved the outcomes that I wanted. And sometimes you have to really make it into different configurations, but I know what I'm doing. And in the summertime, we'll spend probably about anywhere between a week to 3 weeks, depending on what my schedule is. If I get new subjects, I can spend pretty much a month just in the summertime going through it and making sure that I have year plans for every single thing. So I know that all the outcomes will be covered sooner or later. But it's a lot of just, getting it straightened out for the year first.
What I do is, at the end of the day, I'm pretty brain dead, so I like to bring my things home. So I bring my binder, my planning book and all that every night at home, and that's where after dinner, I can sit down and I plan my next day. And then I like to come early the next day and have everything ready so that in the morning I just open my binder and I go, oh right, that's what I'm doing. And then I go and get everything that I need. And since I've been doing this for a while, a lot of my big planning is already done. And then I just tweak it, I just change a little bit. I try to make things better, more exciting, just, that kind of thing. So, but planning is a big part of teaching. And even if you've taught for many, many years, I still every night go over my plans and see what I'm doing the next day and make sure that I have everything that I need and see what I can do to improve. Like I said earlier, things like smart boards didn't exist when you were in grade 2. So, even just learning how to use that kind of the technology and all of that takes time.
Well, I like to have things organized. I do have a day planner. Right now it's my smart board. I will spend time the evenings or on the weekends setting up my schedule, when I'm doing math and whatever, and lining up the subjects and the concepts that I'm going to cover. I like things to be really concrete. I do not like to fly by the seat of my pants. I can, and I certainly have, but I find it very stressful, so it's really nice to be organized and to be able to anticipate what's going to happen.
Well, because I've been doing the same grade for quite a few years now, it's kind of easier for me. But I usually nowadays, I just have a rough outline of what I'm going to do for the day and try and get through what I think I'm going to do. Sometimes we don't get finished everything on time, or sometimes things go very quickly where we're able to start new things. So it's a rough outline, and I'm fairly flexible these days. But you have long-range plans that we have, and we try and get major units covered by a certain timeline, by a certain month, and then the daily plans based on the long-range plans.
I think the best way to make it fun is to give kids autonomy, so they get the choice over what they would like to do. Choice is important. I mean, they also have to. There has to be an aspect of it that's like, kids have to also learn some of the things like the curriculum, but to be able to choose over things and to make things real, I think that's another thing. Make it real. Do field trips. Go. Bring in authors, whatever you can do to make it interesting.
The room, just use as many props as you possibly can, because everything has to be sort of hands-on. Stay away from just reading out of a textbook. It's a lot better if you can tell a story or if you can do some sort of link with their real life. I like to give them actual real life situations that they can work on. Like in social studies, we adopt trees. And so every week we take a walk and go see the trees.
I think again, it's just trying to be creative. So I think you have to come in and you have to realize you have to, in a way, you have to put yourself to their level. So you have to remember what turned you on when you were that age. So you have to be active. You have to make sure that when in your lessons, you're not just standing in the front talking. You have to make sure that the kids, there's lots of room for them to participate. Make it fun by involving the kids, making it real, making it meaningful, using creativity. So again, some kids are better at singing than they are at doing math, so you try to bring in a lot of songs. Some kids are really good at drawing, so you try to bring in the drawing aspect. Some kids are really good in talking in public, so you have them do that kind of things, little plays and things like that. So really involving the kids so they move around and they can use all of their talents.
I'm a tactile, hands-on kind of person, so I like to do things where we can get touching, doing, feeling, so that that engages them. I'm hoping.
That's a good question. I try these days more than I did in the past. I try and remember when I was a kid and what I liked about school and about having fun and being a kid. So I think to myself, well, would I have enjoyed this? Was it fun for me? And if it's going to be fun for me, it's probably going to be fun for the students in my class.
Oy, my hours. As an English teacher, I have lots of extra hours, so I have extra marking and that sort of thing on top of it, plus extracurricular. My hours, I mean, it totally depends. Sometimes it's like I can go to school, I can leave at 4, but there's most of the time it's like 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock when I'm leaving. So I put a lot of extra hours. So from about 8 until 6, I would say is about the average. So 10 hours. No.
Every night, I have homework, just like you guys. I'll probably spend, once everybody leaves here, about an hour, half an hour every day here. And then at home, anywhere between an hour and 2 hours every night. And then weekends, if I want to change the classroom around, I come and do that myself.
So my hours, when the hours at school here are about close to 6 hours with the kids, like just a bit under that. But I like to come here early so that I'm well prepared in the morning. I like to stay over lunch because then I can do lots of things. After school, I bring things home. Sometimes I come back on weekends and decorate the bulletin boards or get things ready. So, you know, in a way, you're always thinking, during the summer, we're always thinking of ways to improve or you know, making up a new smart board idea, because that's something that we didn't have when you were in elementary school. So there's always things to learn and there's always things to improve. So there's always something to do.
Well, it's not uncommon for me to be going home at, 7 o'clock in the evening, often come in weekends. Some people may tell you that a teaching job is 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, but I don't think so. That's not been my experience, and I've been teaching for over 30 years. So I put in a lot of extra hours.
So in school, I'm here anywhere from 7:30 to 7:45 in the morning, and I usually work until 4:30 to 5, and I usually put in at least 1 to 2 hours outside of school at home. Usually here on the weekend, anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. Not every weekend, but most weekends. So.
Good question. I first got interested when I was in Puerto Rico, actually. I was there for 2 years, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I was learning Spanish and all that sort of thing and teaching other people. And after doing that for 2 years, I came back and I was really like, yeah, maybe I could be a teacher, you know? Mostly because I was like, oh yeah, I could get 2 months off in the summertime. That'd be so cool. And I realized later that was, I mean, it's nice and stuff, but it's way more fun to teach because you get feedback from kids faster than you do from employers. So employers sometimes take years to tell you that you're doing a good job, where sometimes kids will tell you that day, hey, thanks for teaching us, and that feels really good. Yeah.
To be honest, I started with an arts degree as an English major, and then I realized that I needed to have a paying job. I wanted to be just a full-time writer, and I realized that I would be really poor and not able to do that sort of thing. So the sort of fallback was becoming a teacher. It's become, within the first, I think, year that I was teaching, I realized that that's really, really what I wanted to do, and it just made me a better writer.
Liking kids, yeah, and being, you know, maybe staying immature a little bit. It's kind of fun. So during my school day, I can, you know, I'm not behaving like grade 2s, but I have to have a little bit that maturity sometimes just to remember where they're at. So it kind of staying young, and even though, you know, you age like everybody else, but in a way, coming back with the kids, I always feel when I come in here, I feel like it's a big building full of love. So you come in here and the kids are great, and you know, and if you're in a good mood, you'll put the kids in a good mood. So
I had two paternal aunts who were teachers, and they were very inspirational to me. I looked up to them, and I saw what they were doing and how they were doing it, and I wanted to be a teacher for as long as I can remember.
Originally, I had always taught in some form. I was a ski instructor, I was a swimming instructor, I was a soccer coach, I was a hockey coach, so I always essentially did some kind of teaching, whether it was sports or otherwise.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I wouldn't trade with any other profession. I actually took a year off from teaching because I thought I was in the wrong profession, and I learned really quickly that teaching was what I'd rather do than anything else.
Love it.
I love being a teacher.
I love being a teacher.
I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. I told myself early that if I didn't like a job, I wouldn't do it anymore.
Part do I like the most? I like interacting with students the most. Is my favorite part. Second to that is like, if you've got really good staff, then you can do kind of fun stuff with staff, but I think students come first.
Teaching, the actual teaching part, when you're standing in front of kids and it's like a show. It's fantastic. The kids light up and they ask questions, and when it's really dynamic, it's the best feeling in the whole world. Love it.
Favorite part is the kids, of course, and just that love that we feel, and you know, the commitment that we have towards them and that they have towards us and that they have towards their learning. And learning is such an exciting thing. It's something that we do all our lives. So I just feel so lucky that I'm surrounded with love and with learning.
I find the most inspiring and what keeps me going and in teaching is when kids are going, you know, we might do math and they'll go, oh, that was so much fun. And I'm going, good, because I want math to be fun. Or when they come out of science and they went, oh, those experiments were so cool. Science is tons of fun. And when you see that enjoyment, and then other times when you see that light click, when kids suddenly discover that you know, I know.
I'd have to say definitely the kids.
The least, I was going to say marking, but that's not that bad. The part I don't like the most is the bureaucracy, the like paperwork, and the, you know, just kind of dealing with political issues. And that's not something that I've seen that much in Jasper, actually. But where I came from the previous school, there was a lot of that to deal with, and I didn't like it at all.
I do not enjoy the politics of our profession at all. The union stuff. I don't appreciate the government intervention with a lot of work that we do, and then they bring in these programs, anything from technology to different reading strategies, and they want these things implemented. They really don't give us time to even learn and program ourselves before we have to teach it to the kids. And then within 2 years, they yank that, and it depends who comes in. They have another program, and so it's always changing, it's always evolving, and sometimes it feels like your feet just aren't on the ground.
Is maybe when the kids don't do what they're supposed to do. That's the least. I think that's probably the most tiring, you know, but we're all human and we all have to learn, so that's all part of it.
The politics is what I like.
Marking.
You get to see your friends a lot, which is nice, and some of the teachers are really nice, and some of the projects we get to do is fun.
The knowledge is always good, and it's always a good experience.
I enjoy learning new things. I mean, sometimes I'm under challenged, but I enjoy figuring out how things work and how to discover new opportunities.
When you get a right answer, give you candy.
I don't know, just getting the whole class involved and making it more of a game, you know, less out of the book and more class involvement.
And field trips. Those are fun.
By taking the learning outside of a textbook, by changing it up so that it's not, exactly the same every year, so that it's catered to the student or the group.